welcome back to WGL APAC, where we just saw an absolute banger of a game go all the way down to the wire.
Not quite.
Not all the way down to the wire.
Might as well have.
Very close. One game away from the wire. It was an eyesight of the wire.
It was a very long game as well. I mean, a lot of those rounds going all the distance.
Yeah, we literally had 2 timed out rounds.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see, but that's the new meta for you. Got a good time. Time is a resource now.
Yeah, it is. Well, it always was, but
More
obviously
scarce resource.
obviously it's a much more important thing now, I think, for a lot of these teams. It is something to adapt to, which maybe they haven't been doing so well yet.
I really think, people need to start playing a little bit quicker now because just running out the clock is a viable strategy. We saw it happen twice tonight. Both teams trying to employ it at least once or twice. So teams need to start, the attackers especially, they now have more pressure on them to play more aggressive, to go in and start the fights faster. And if that's just how it happens, that's just how the mouse meta gets sped up here. Because if teams are just going to be picking, 5 mouses, nearly 20k HP pools, 10 minutes just isn't enough time.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know how you want to deal that much damage in that little time. Like, you just have to go balls to the walls, essentially, and you have to basically play super aggressively. You put yourself in poor positions because you're playing aggressively and taking those risks that you need to take.
It's not kind to the attackers.
But exactly, it's not kind to the attackers at all, especially, if you're going to be stacking that many tanks. But anyway, we'll see whether or not that's going to happen tonight. Speaking of Horsemen and B Gaming, here is our first team lineup. It is the Horsemen. Now, they are actually sitting in a pretty decent position here at the moment. Yeah, like, I honestly don't know if they should be up that high.
Yeah, it feels like they just kind of, like, while Karen Tiger and Meltdown were throwing down fisticuffs, Horsemen kind of, like, slid on in.
Yeah.
Like, we're in third.
Hey, boys.
Hey, boys, we're in third now.
And so that's good to see for Horsemen, honestly. I mean, that means if they can stay in third position, they can face B Gaming, who they are facing right now, and I definitely think they can beat B Gaming in the playoffs and make it through to finals. But we'll have to see how they go tonight. Of course, this is potentially a bit of a preview maybe of what we'll see in the playoffs, depending on if things change or if things stay the same. Anyway, having a look here at how things are going for B Gaming, it's not great. I mean, they're in 6th position. They obviously would have wanted to be a lot higher than that. Last season, they came away in 2nd position. But anyway, they have to deal with it. It's still, like, they can still get through to finals from here. It's not like it's all said and done, but the way that they're playing, it doesn't look like they'll make it through to finals.
Yeah, they've had some pretty close games versus Horsemen in the past, essentially winning one of them as well. So realistically, this game could be very close considering B game. Of course, we got our head-to-head for tonight. Archon taking on Tacky.
Yeah, pretty consistent players, I think, for both these teams. Neither of them up the top in terms of damage dealt, but they both, generally speaking, get a decent amount of work done in most of the matches that they play. Though I feel as though maybe that's relevant for Tacky. For Archon, I feel like he either has an amazing game or he has a 0 damage game.
Yeah, he's the Karen Tiger Horseman, right?
Yeah.
He's either up the top there, just doing work, leading the team in the charge, in the thick of it, in the fray, whichever way you want to spin it, or he's just down there in the dumps having a rough one.
Yeah.
Not finding his mark. And hopefully for Horsemen, Archon's playing on points tonight. Tacky, on the other hand, though, another great player in his own right. But B Gaming, I don't know, it always seems like their players play individually well, one at a time.
Yeah.
And more times than not, it's Usashan power.
Yeah, well, exactly. He's always put in positions to do the damage, which is why we do see him getting the majority of the damage there for B Gaming. But it would be nice to see a lot of the other players stepping up at the same time. Now, when we think about this matchup, we are going to need to see a lot of those B Gaming players stepping up in this one, because Horsemen are coming into it massive, massive favourites in my eyes. I mean, yes, I don't think they've necessarily been perfect in the last few weeks.
No.
But they have been well good enough to beat B Gaming, who, as far as I'm concerned, they're really just not doing that well. They've won one out of their last 5 games.
They should be happy with 6, right? They've made playoffs.
I think so.
That's literally all they can hope for right now. And don't think they're going to be overtaking anyone because the 5 teams above them are vastly superior in terms of skill at the moment. But they've done enough to get themselves secure that playoff spot, and it's great for them. But of course, like you said, if Horsemen are able to retain that 3rd spot position, this could be a preview of that game to come. So B Gaming, they should take this very seriously.
I don't know if Horsemen will retain that position because Karen Tiger and Meltdown, I think are very, very close as well. And it comes down to, I guess, next week how that turns out. But tell you what, if Horsemen can get the 3 points out of this one, they will be boosting themselves up just a little bit. We'll have a look at the maps here. So, Mines Prokhorovka being banned away. I can see the sense in the mines being banned there from Horsemen. They did look pretty uncomfortable on mines when we saw them playing it last week.
Yeah.
It's not like a perma veto for them, but it is a map that I'm happy to see them getting rid of. Prokhorovka then taken away by B Gaming. A little bit surprised to see that, to be honest, because I thought B Gaming, they're not too bad on Prokhorovka. Horseman's not excellent on Prokhorovka.
Maybe it's just a new proc they're not enjoying. I'm sure they've played a ton of it off air.
That is true, because when I sort of think of B Gaming on Prokhorovka, I'm still thinking about the old meta. So maybe that does make sense. Himmelsdorf, great pick from Horsemen. B Gaming really bad at Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, they're going to struggle.
Can't complain about that one. Ghost Town from B Gaming is very, very surprising. They have basically terrible results on Ghost Town. 14% win rate overall. It's a pretty good map, even a very, very good map actually for Horsemen. So I can see this going to 4-0 just off those first two maps. Ruenberg then taken away by B Gaming. Whatever. Cliff taken away by Horsemen. Whatever. It's just a go-to ban for them as well. So both of them make sense. Nothing really to comment about. Steps then from B Gaming. Again, very, very surprising because it's, again, not a map that they've enjoyed so far this season. They've only got a 25% win rate over that overall. So I'm really concerned about this for B Gaming, actually, now that I've seen these map picks. And Muravank to round things out. I think that's much of a muchness, really. I don't even think we're going to be getting there, to be honest, but that is about a 50-50 map for both teams.
Well, depends on how well B Gaming can hold off, because Horsemen, with with Himmels up first, Ghost Town, and then potentially just running it out on Steps, don't know if we'll make it all the way to Mura, let alone Cliff. And if Steps and Himmel play out any near the ways we saw earlier, it's going to be such an uphill battle for B Gaming to break the defense here, because even top teams like Efficiency and Meltdown struggle getting through those just heavy HP setups. And I think that's something that the lower tier teams are going to struggle with a ton. Yeah. I just don't think they can do it. I just don't think they can get that much damage out in time.
No, I agree. I mean, be interesting to see how these teams do decide to go out on these maps. I mean, Himmelsdorf, like you said, if they just stack that many Mausers on one team, that is going to be difficult to go with. Yeah. But, I mean, we haven't seen either of these teams do it just yet. If they were watching that last game, it's potential for them to change things up. Generally speaking, we will see 2 to 3 Mausers on each team here, and then rounded out by a couple of other heavies, Batchads, maybe some TDs, what have you, exactly. But they haven't gone just that full heavy tank lineup so far this season. So obviously they can change things up now and then, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel to me as though these teams are going to be doing that. It doesn't feel like it fits their style all that well. But you have to argue then, just because it doesn't fit their style,
doesn't mean they shouldn't play it.
Doesn't mean they shouldn't play it, because it just seems so strong.
And it really is. And if anything to go by how strong it is, I feel like that series we just watched showcases it in every regard, just how powerful running 5 Maus can be. So whether or not Horsemen and B Gaming like it, they're going to have to adapt, or they're just going to fizzle out here and get run over when it comes to playoffs.
Yeah, well, what I do hope to see on that defensive side now, or even on the offensive side, is some of those bigger tank destroyers.
They need to have
like the E4, the E3.
I feel like that's imperative. I feel like that's the way that they need to go.
It is a good way to go up against the Maus, because you can out-trade 1-for-1 with the Maus if you're taking one shot for one shot. Obviously, if you go and try and go for a brawl against the Maus, that's when things are going to be different, because the DPM of the Maus is going to be superior. More often than not, the Maus is probably going to bounce, or not more often than not, but it is going to bounce more shells, generally speaking, than an E4 or an E3. So in a brawl, a Maus wins. In a trade war, the E4 probably wins. But it's going to come down to how these teams are going to play out both of those tanks if they decide to pick those tanks. Other options on the field, 50Bs are still pretty good here. T57 Heavies are still pretty good. I would like to see 50Bs utilized. If you can get a 50B around behind a Maus, that's still going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, we've seen it work in the past. Again, it all depends on whether or not they can do it, right? It's whether or not they can execute that plan. Horsemen, sure. I think they can. B Gaming, probably not against Horsemen. I don't think they have the teamwork and the coordination down to get in behind those Mausers and cause a ruckus. I think, yeah, Horsemen probably could against B Gaming, and if they're going to be running those type of strategies, it's probably not going to work. So I think coming from B Gaming side here, I think they're just going to be more secure, just running 3 to 5 Mausers, somewhere in between that line on the defense, 3 on the offense, chuck in some whatevers.
Yeah, pretty
and,
much. That's
play
how
around
now
that.
it is. Like, you just play around your mouses and see what happens.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
the thing. I think the higher end teams can chuck in a Batchat and 50B in the right scenario, go for those flanks and make it work. But this game, I don't think B Gaming have that in them. I think that's just not an option right now.
Well, we'll see. Okay, it looks like they've not gone for it. They do have the E4 on the attack. That's good to see. I don't have any qualms about either of these team lineups. T95 on the defense for Horsemen is good. 50B as well is good. I wonder if it'll be Archon in that. Presumably it will be.
Yeah.
He tends to be the one to take it away if they do just have a single one. Triple mouse on both teams. No surprises there. I mean, there's not much to say about either of these lineups. Like, they're just fairly standard. Both teams picking what they need to. It's just going to come down to who can be more effective with the lineup, because they are very, very similar.
B Gaming with the Type 5 heavy as well should be able to maybe catch out the Batchat or the MX-50B if luck has it on their side. But I do like that they are just going to be going for like a brute force, where I don't think that they have that finesse to play the kind of flanking style, the run around your opponent style, shoot him in the back style. I think it's smart that they're just going for what they know is strong, what they know works, and what doesn't really take a lot of effort to pull off.
I like that there's 1390 there on the attacking side as well. I think that's going to be a good little change up. A lot of the time we are seeing the Batchat APs on Himmelsdorf. I mean, the Batchat AP can work. I don't have a vendetta against it like Alex seems to, but I will say I think the 1390... it isn't going to be super effective, right? But it gives you more options, I feel, than a Batchat AP. Or maybe that's... okay, that's probably the wrong... that's not really what I mean, right? But it is more useful to have a 1390 on the flag, you know, instead of, for example, a Batchat AP, because you're kind of wasting a tier 9 tank if you're putting it on the flag and having it sit there. So I like the 1390. It just feels to me as though you're not sacrificing as much if you are forced back onto a flag strategy, which I think you pretty much have to do nowadays.
Oh, there's no way. Because that's it, right? You can't just go in and kill your opponent on the attack. The flag victory, that's the way to go about it. You set up that nice steel wall. You use some of your tanks as obstacles if you have to. Whatever you have, throw the kitchen sink as well in on them. I don't think it'll probably, mouse will probably reflect it, who knows. But yeah, getting the 1390 in on the hill, using that to soak up the time, then using your bigger tanks to soak up the damage, seems to be the way to go, especially on Himmels, where it's so hard to get in with those flanks, because you see teams probably going to be going up on the hill, going for the flanks with the whatevers, but B Gaming obviously not running any of those whatevers.
No, not really. But they have a 113, I think, is their fastest tank in their lineup, apart from a 1390. So not too much of a chance for flanking. I guess maybe the 1390 can get around the back, but what are you going to do in a 1390 if you get around the back?
Purpose,
really,
right?
not anything. No. So yeah, exactly. I think we're going to have to see that from Horsemen more so than anything else. B Gaming here, they're going to try and take a full-on frontal brawl, and
that's what they want.
I mean, if they can get it, they have a pretty good lineup to do it.
Interesting. They're going to be sending their Type 5 heavy along with the 113 and the T110 E4 up to the top of the hill here. The other Mouse Brigade will be slowly but surely making their way on over Sphinx. Going to be doing an early scouting run for the squad on Horsemen, as that's the best scout that they have available to them.
All right, well, Mollot, having a bit of a party there. But he's also having a look into the courtyard here, just trying to spot out some of those tanks that might be watching the cross. There are a few tanks here from Horsemen that are spotted already, but not going to be having too much to deal with, in all honesty, because they are sitting behind some cover. Nundes, who takes some damage to his track, but he doesn't really care at all, does he?
No, I don't think he's going to be caring about too much this game. And wow, what's going on inside of B Gaming? They're drivers.
They're raving. They're raving.
They're raving. Oh, they need to get that pre-game celebration up, because I don't know if their post-game is going to have much of a celebration.
Well, tonight, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Anyway, it's nice here for B Gaming, getting control now of the banana. Doesn't look like they've taken too much damage on the cross. Man, there's one shot.
That was a nice shot.
In reality, not too big of a deal. Colin loses his ammo rack, but he's going to repair that pretty quickly. So yeah, look, overall, that's actually not too bad of a cross from B Gaming. I think they're not going to be too bothered by that.
Sphinx going for a flank, maybe. If he catches someone off on the back end, that could be huge. Archon also, so sending the 50B and the Batchat on a little bit of a scouting mission there. maybe a little bit more than a scouting mission soon enough. A BOV will have to be the one to reset that hill.
But not going to connect with the shot, or he does, I think, but doesn't penetrate it. Probably firing it at just the wrong time because T4 angling his armor by turning around the hill. It's going to allow him to deflect the shot. But here you go. This is what we wanted to see really from B Gaming. With that 1390, they just want to get on the flag here now and try and force some sort of a brawl.
They've got to be careful though, because the Batchat and the 50B are going to be on the flank here, and you can see already Horsemen, they're just kind of collapsing on the squad of B Gaming right now. Obviously, B Gaming has set up a good little bit of a defense here.
Sphinx has been spotted up there on the hill as well,
that's
so
good. That's good.
That shouldn't be causing too many issues for B Gaming. I mean, he can still do some work from there, but
he's going to have to fight Uther Champagne when he comes around. Gorilla, Hokiao, and Nondasu in a 3 versus 3 versus the Mouse. Gorilla's got to be careful right now, but that's some good damage onto Riku Sam. Happiness has been chunked as well. Sphinx in the 1v versus the T110E4. Gonna have a difficult time penning the front of that one. Nondasu looking for the shot, doesn't find it. The extended brawls of the Mouse. No one on the hill. No one on the hill, though.
Yep, it's just going to be a bunch of tanks shooting at each other for the next 3 or 4 minutes right now because these tanks, I tell you what, they do not go down quickly. The first one finally falling. Riku Sam, probably a minute, maybe a minute and a half after the fight actually started. But now we're going to be seeing Till get relatively low in his 113. Not sure exactly where he is, and it does look like Horsemen are starting to pull ahead in terms of the health. That health, they've got the tank advantage as well. So from here on out, they should be able to close this one out. It's just going to be a matter of time, really, before they do get that done. Sphinx coming around from the side as well, doing a bit of work in the Batchat.
Would it be more exciting if when the Mouses die, they explode with confetti going everywhere?
Yeah, maybe that could
Would that help a bit?
That could be like an April Fool's sort of patch or something. Every time you get a mouse, every time you kill a mouse, sorry, confetti explodes. That'd be fun.
Would be a little bit of fun here, but perfect round essentially coming out of Horsemen. They mount a very strong defense. B Gaming, they got in where they needed to go, but the collapse from Horsemen was just too powerful. They hit their shots, they penned the armors. Flank coming out from the Batchat, forced the T110E4, sorry, out of the fight. He's going to go down any second now. Great stuff by Horsemen to start us off here tonight.
B Gaming haven't even been able to kill a single tank just yet. Hokiao, he won't get one shot by Uther Champagne either. He's got too much HP to deal with.
Yeah, that's going to be game number 1.
There you go. Horsemen cleaned it up. So 1-0 on the board. Good start for Horsemen. We thought that they were going to be more advantaged on Himmelsdorf, and it seems that way. I mean, that wasn't even really down to any sort of good strategy from Horsemen, any kind of good setup. Like, it was fine. There's no worries with it, but really what it came down to just was they hit the shots a lot better, they penned the shots a lot better, and they just traded better.
So really good stuff coming out of Horsemen. They're just showing their dominance in the mouse meta right now. Again, I thought B Gaming played the attack quite well. It was just that once they got in, Horsemen's counter-attack, the retake of the 2 flag was just too strong.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's not much to say about it there for B Gaming. Like, as you said, they got done what they needed to. They got into the cap, they got the brawl going, and from that point onwards, they probably should have been able to win, given that they had, one would say, a stronger brawling setup. Now, Sphinx, I'm not sure how much work he actually did manage to get done. Either he got a whole clip out before we saw him get the kill on the player going down the hill, or he didn't actually get an entire clip out, or he didn't get a clip out at all. He just got like probably half, or well, he probably got a whole clip out in the end there. But interested to see how much work Sphinx actually did, because he was kind of the difference in the roster there between Horsemen and B Gaming. It was kind of like a 113 or a Batchat. I don't think Sphinx was hugely effective. At least to me, it didn't seem like he was troubling B Gaming all that much. So I think that really what it came down to at the end of the day, like I said, was just the good trades from the Mouses from the Horsemen.
Again, that's a lot what it comes down to when we see Himmels, is people get in there, they try to trade the Mouses. It just doesn't work. If your opponent is angling that little bit better, because see Sphinx coming through, finds a shot onto Miller. That was a great little flank coming around. I really like when a team can chuck in a Batchat and make it work, because it's not only is it kind of like a blast from the past already, even though we're only 2 weeks in, but I do feel like there's a place in here for the 50Bs and the Batchats. It's just these higher echelon teams are the ones that can utilize it better.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, Sphinx there, like
5K.
He's got, that's true, but not 5K. Exactly, that's what's the difference here between Horsemen and B Gaming. I mean, where's the B Gaming Mouses? They were in the fight for so long.
Boom.
But there's only one of them. It's just Colin. Anyway, the thing that I want to mention there is actually Sphinx. He didn't really get too much done in the bat chat. That damage that he's got is basically just cleaning up the fight. He's actually got 3 kills. So he's kind of come in from behind, being the janitor, and cleaned everyone up in the end.
2 of the Mousers.
Look at that.
They were in the fight for at least 4 minutes.
Exactly. Happiness and Riku Sam. 5 shots fired, 7 shots fired, and they've only got 1,500 damage combined, which is bad.
This is going to be a 5-0 if they don't pick up their game. Because you just cannot contest another team if your Mousers 1,500 as opposed to 5.2.
Yeah. Like, you can't be firing those shots and not penning them in a brawl like that. No. I understand that the meta is basically making it very, very difficult to play and pen every single shot. But if Horsemen can do it and consistently do it, B Gaming need to be able to do it as well so that they can contest. No, if they can't, it's game over. Like
that's it, right? If they can't play on the same level of what's the standard, there's no chance that they have of winning. Because Horsemen, they can obviously do it. 5k damage on a mouse is insane. And that's just what they're going to have to come to terms with. They need to, if it's not tonight that they can't do it, then it's just practice. They need to practice like a playoffs. It's going to be a very uphill battle. It always was for them coming into it. But this is their opportunity to knuckle down, learn this mechanic, learn how to pen the shots, learn how to bounce the shots, learn how to avoid getting penned, and then come into the playoffs with a revigorated attitude.
Yeah, it's difficult times for B Gaming. Obviously, they do have a lot of work to do heading into those playoffs. They are pretty much secured. Well, they are secured. Dark Wolves and Coalitions who can't catch them.
That's it.
So they are secured for playoffs. But to be able to even come into playoffs feeling like they have a chance, there is a big ladder to climb for them because they are far and away the worst team that is going to be making it through to playoffs. Like, I don't think anyone's going to contest that statement.
Yeah, and I'm sure they know it too, which hopefully for them gives them that extra motivation they need to get there. And like I said, it all comes down to learning these core mechanics that seem to be dominating, being a dominating quality in the good players at the moment. And it's being able to angle your armor well, it's being able to pen the Mousers. And if you're going to be neglecting that, we're going to get Himmels all over again.
I don't think it's hugely difficult to angle your mouse correctly.
It seems like it for some.
Maybe. But, like, the caliber of players that we're seeing play in WGL all know how to play the mouse well. Like, it's not rocket science, really. You just angle your tank so that they can't pen, and you take the trades that work for you. The problem is, sometimes some players are going to be better than other players, and
that's just the nature
Horsemen,
of
at this point, it looks like they know the matchup a lot better, or at least they understand when they can be peaking and when they can be taking the trades, and, you know, they're getting the job done, essentially.
I think it's that, like, fine line between angling your turret so you can avoid getting penned, and then coming through quick enough in the midst of the enemy mouse reloading, get the shot off, make it count, then instantly switch back. It's like you got your off and you got your attack mode and you guard.
It's almost like you're playing an STRV. You know, you go into your siege mode where you can shoot, and so you turn your turret to the enemy, or you go into your it's not travel mode, I suppose, because you're in a mouse. You're in your block mode where you turn your turret and they can't pen you. So it's just like 2 different forms.
Yeah, you got your sword and your shield.
You're a transformer, and you just.
If Transformers going from this to this, that'd be the lamest Transformer movie.
Well,
they're already lame movies, but it could be worse.
Well, I mean, I liked it when I was like 14.
You're not 14 anymore.
Not 14 anymore, sadly. Oh, gone are the days, Alex. But I just called you Alex. That's how cooked I am. It's been a long week.
Or maybe that just goes to show what type of conversation we're having.
Yeah, well, maybe it does. But yeah, like it's again, we're going to be seeing the same sort of thing here on Himmelsdorf. I mean, almost said Ruhenberg. Oh. We're going to see the same thing on Himmelsdorf, probably on Ruhenberg as well, if we see it, which we're not. Yeah. But Himmelsdorf, it'll be the Mousers again. It'll be the E4s, the E3s. It'll be 50Bs, like Type 5s. There's nothing else that you're going to really be picking here up. No. I guess maybe a Bat Chat or a 1390, but...
Yeah, but they're just kind of like the sprinkling on top of the big meaty mouse that we have in there. And I don't know. It just doesn't look like Dark Wolves have the same understanding of the tank as Horsemen do. So obviously we know the defense a little bit easier to play through as you are able to set up your mouse prior. You don't have to move into your opponent. So you at least have that advantage of already being kind of lying in wait for the enemy to mosey on up. Still though, I feel like even still, B Gaming, they had the hill kind of set up, they had that advantage when Horsemen pushed into them, and it was Horsemen who had no issues retaking the hill.
Yeah, well, B Gaming moving over to the defensive side now. See what they pick up. It's
Only
be,
2.
Yeah, there will be the E3. Interesting that they've gone for...
The Jagdpanzer
They've got a Jagdpanzer E100, which can... Like, it makes sense. I believe that tank actually has the highest penetration of any tank in the game when it's got its premium rounds loaded.
Yep.
The STI, though, as well, is another interesting tank because we actually haven't seen that, as far as I'm aware, at all this season or last season. It is the Tier 9 Russian heavy tank down the IS-4 line as opposed to the IS-7, so it's like the sister or the brother of the T10, which is something that we have seen every now and then. I mean, it's much of a muchness, really. It's just going to be able to put some damage out. Like, it's going to tank a few shells as well.
Is this B Gaming kind of saying, no, Horsemen, we don't want to play the mouse versus mouse, we want to try our own thing, it's not working for us?
Oh, well, I don't think so, because they picked double mouse, so...
Yeah, but still, doubles, you rarely see 2. It's always 3.
I suppose.
3 seems to be the minimum that has been established, at least tonight anyway.
I can see this setup working for B Gaming. I'm not sure why they've opted to go for an STI as opposed to something else. You know, it's never felt to me like an amazing tank. Like, it's not a bad tank, but I think, you know, even a Batchat AP, I know that a lot of people are saying they don't like it nowadays, but there's not really going to be anyone in this roster here for B Gaming that will be able to get a reset if they need to go around the behind, right? If there's some sort of a setup from Horsemen which involves the shield strategy, or, you know, they're hull down or something, I don't know, not hull down because they'll get resets if they're hull down anyway. But if they have to get a reset and commit to the reset, who is going to do it on this B Gaming roster? Like, I think they need a Batchat AP at least here that can get around the back.
Could Sphinx potentially find another one here onto the T4? No, he doesn't. Maybe just have to take his one and go.
I mean, there's not really much point in not having a crack here.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're very, very low percentage chances, but he's going to reload those extra shots anyway, so he might as well just click them out and see what he can get done. One shot of damage, all that he's going to be able to manage. Use the Champagne, though. He is going to be a key player here.
If you take the barrel off that gun, tank, it looks like a shoe.
I suppose. I've never thought about it that way.
That's all I could see when it was coming through. I was like, oh, you get rid of the barrel on that tank. It's just a big shoe.
But it is
it
will be a big scary shoe, actually, because
stomp on you.
It has a lot of alpha damage, 1,050. So
that is a lot.
You know, it's a scary prospect to peek around that corner. Even Samo's watching it in the E3, so that's probably like almost 1,800 damage alpha. That if you roll around that corner and you take a shell from the JP 100 and the E3, see you later. Pretty much all of your HP. Like Sphinx will get one-shotted, Spencer will get one-shotted, Archon could get one-shotted if the tank destroyers here get good rolls. And any of the other tanks are going to be crippled. I mean, maybe with the exception of a Mouse, because he's still going to have plenty of HP to deal with, because Mouse is balanced, right? But even then, like, it's not going to be a fun sight. So they are, I think, here, Horsemen probably not scared of the E100, the JP E100, but they want to know where it is before they opt to go for something, because rolling around a corner and taking that much damage is never going to be a fun prospect.
While we know where B Gaming set up, Horsemen do not. So let's jump on board with Horsemen and see what they plan to do as an avenue of attack.
窗口有13。
哪边是窗口？OK， 知道。
是窗口有13。
窗口13，然后白图在后面。
好，找到了。
我下去就下面了，是这样打爆东西。
你不要着急，我要下去了，你不要着急，不要乱。
阿诺，
有帮掉老鼠啊！
你往这边的草盲一颗。你知道那草位
亮过了吗？
这一重吧。
90没有亮，90还没被亮。
忙了，可是都没有中。
感觉从5线打进去比较好。
已经剩5分钟了。
山上能打这太不放啊！
打不到。
哦，第二只老鼠
他一直在躲。
你把那个武藏调回来打5线，他有一个那个 ST 肯定在那个2号起源旁边，然后大白兔和那个有一个 TD 在那个。
Horsemen just waiting for B Gaming to maybe show a little bit of weakness in their defense. Obviously, we know how B Gaming have set this one up with the Jagdpanzer E100 just kind of watching down that B line, making sure that anyone that decides to have a poke around is going to get a very powerful punch in the face. Hokia hasn't spotted it out just yet. Slowly but surely moving his way inch by inch closer.
It is really a fairly similar, like, not a similar setup to what we saw from Coalition Zoo yesterday, but it's kind of like going up against that, because you sort of don't want to be trading, you want to be getting into position, but if you do get in position, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of HP. So there's a lot... Yeah, there are a lot of questions to work with here for Horsemen. They need to figure out where some of these tanks are so that they can play around them.
Well, we know that basically time, much more of a scarce resource for the attacker. So if B Gaming, Horsemen rather, if they don't move soon, they run the risk of just not having enough damage to kill B Gaming. And while B Gaming only have 1 mouse on the field, they still have 5 tanks with plus 2,000 HP on the field at the moment. That's still a lot of damage to work through, and if the AMX 1390 goes down, that pretty much throws their cap the hill win condition out, and then they have to go for the kills. They don't have enough time, they don't have enough damage, they probably just lose to the time limit.
Yeah, they basically are. Like, how are they going to get rid of all this health in 3 minutes? And well, they're probably not going to get a brawl started for another little bit. So let's say 3 minutes. They've got 3 minutes to get rid of
They're moving up now.
1,500 HP. The only thing that I can say for Horsemen here in their favor is at least they've got 50B and a bat chat. So if, for example, some B Gaming tanks start to run away in the last few seconds, the 50B and the bat chat will catch them, because these are very slow tanks for B Gaming.
Muller, the STI trying to get some shots down. Not going to find any damage to start us off. I'm excited to see how the Jagdpanzer does go when he goes for the shot here. Oh, look at this iron wall that's slowly encroaching its way on in. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath. A big shot comes through, 1,000 damage into a mouse out of the Jagdpanzer, but it's going to be on the reload for quite a while. Til has already fallen down in the IS-4, so Horsemen, they need to go, and they need to go now. Samo's gone down as well, so I think they knew their timing very well. Should have no trouble finishing off Muller here. He's going to fall as well. Who's the Shampower coming through? Just not going to cut it.
No, not quite. Muller going down there. Archon now on the reload. I think the bat chat, where's Sphinx at the moment? He's probably on the reload as well. So there will be a bit of DPM loss for the next 30 seconds or so. Well, Archon's only going to be off the reload in probably 10, 15 seconds. So maybe not. But 2 minutes and 22 seconds left to work with. They've got 2 almost full HP mouses to deal with and use the Shampower, but there is the cap, of course. So I don't think B Gaming comes out of this one with a win. Use the Shampower.
They can literally just roadblock that entrance with the 5 massive tanks that they have there. And B Gaming, they couldn't get through to retake. They were able to get a reset, I think it was T4 maybe, in the Type 4 Heavy. The T4 Heavy, if you will. Coming around the back and doing some work. Usa Shampower will go down.
Poor use of Shampower there. He was basically perma-tracked and he couldn't do anything that whole time because he was just looking in the wrong direction.
It's a lot of damage onto a mouse though. Maybe we might see it again in the future in more capable hands.
I think it could make sense. I like it because it can trade pretty well with a mouse. As long as it's doing the one, well, very well with a mouse. It can trade very well with anyone as long as it gets 1-for-1 shots. And it can ding a few shells. It's not a terrible tank at all, but really nicely played there by Horsemen. This was what we didn't.
From the cap.
This is what we didn't see Gaming do yesterday against Coalition Zoo, where they kind of just sort of messed around for 7 or 8 minutes, and then finally decided, oh, we have to actually do something. Let's get a tank on the cap, on the 2 cap, which was probably not the correct decision. There you see Horsemen playing around that kind of a strategy much, much better. They got into the brawl situation. Yes, they lost a bit of HP, but the brawl worked in their favor because they have the higher DPM tanks, they have the health to play with, and they just took the fights and took the wins.
Yeah, it all comes down to focus firing at the end of the day. They were able to find the weak links on the side of B Gaming, take them out before the fight even started, so they were already at a disadvantage when that kind of like long drawn out brawl that we now know happens pretty much every game, and if you have the gun, I feel like that's another thing that really favors here. If you have the gun advantage, HP really doesn't matter because these long drawn out brawls, it's all about how many guns on the field do you have firing for your team. Because with the E1, the mouse, sorry, you can kind of just let one come back, put one in front, he comes out, take his shots, and he's got so much like just span to hide behind.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if we're going to see B Gaming actually win any of these rounds
I
because
really don't think so.
it does look like Horsemen is just so much more comfortable in this current meta. B Gaming looked like they were not in that at all on Himmelsdorf. And moving on to Ghost Town, it's going to be a fairly similar situation.
It really is. I really think that these maps play very similar at the moment. It does open up maybe an easier time to go for some flanks with maybe the Batchat APs we've seen as well. It's a lot more wide open. We saw the Udes rocking 4k damage on the defense as well, so if one of the teams is comfortable sitting him up on the cliff, could be a potential strategy for B Gaming here if they're still not comfortable taking these drawn out mouse fights. But if that's what happens, then yeah, you can't not give it to Horsemen. They've shown us twice now that they're just the better team when it comes to these fights.
Yeah, exactly. And pretty good work from them, just focusing down the E3, or the IS4, then the E3, then the STI, and then, you know, basically the game was already over by that stage. Used to Power, I think he probably got a couple of good shots off in that JP 100, but not enough. And
Mean looking shoot.
yeah, it is. But kind of out of meta at this point, to be honest. Maybe not so much in WGL, but it doesn't fare that well in pubs. Yeah, he got 3 shots off for 3k or just above 3k damage. Real heroes though, Nandesu, Hokiao, Gorilla, all above 3k for their team. I mean,
Happiness doing 3k, round up to 3k in the 50B, which is still respectable in his own right. He was able to, but again, the 50B and the Batchat really just play the clean-up role. Once the Mousers have picked a few off the field, that's when the 50Bs can come in and just, it's a win more strategy, I feel. It's a win more tank at the moment.
well, actually, Archon, he was basically getting his entire clip out on most of those tanks. You saw him clip out the, I think it was the E3 that was sitting in the pocket.
Correct.
I didn't actually see what happened to the IS4. I think he might have gotten taken down beforehand.
He was the first tank off the field.
Right. But was it Archon that took him down, or was Archon involved in that? I don't think he was, because Archon...
I feel like they just found him and
got
smacked him with like 3 mouse and maybe a type 5 heavy shot.
Spencer did nothing, which is fair enough, because he was in the 1390. What are you going to do, really?
He took a few shots.
Not so impressive was T4 in the type 4. E3 for Samo, only got 1 shot off. You'd be wanting more than that. 1 shot of damage off.
Yeah.
Tilta Matil, not much done in his IS4 either. He went down early, Molo went down early, and Samo went down early. I don't know what T4 was doing to only get 1 shot worth of damage off, because he survived for a fair while, didn't he?
He was. He was one of the last tanks alive.
Interesting. Weird, I suppose. But
I think he was shooting at Spencer for a while.
Ah.
I think that was him over at the
yeah, probably
the
that would
rail
make sense. It would make sense. Anyway, I mean, whatever. It didn't work out for B Gaming regardless. It was never going to work out for them. Himmelsdorf, always going to be a very strong map there for Horsemen, at least in this matchup.
It really is a map that favors a better team, just like Ghost Town as well, which is why I think it's going to be such a difficult fight for B Gaming to come through. I would like to see them on the defense, put that Udes up, utilize it well, bait the Horsemen offense to come on in and just pick up some damage left, right, and center. Maybe have, you already got the tier 8s, so maybe, I know, a Batchat, AMX 50B as well, 4 Mousers, maybe 3 Mousers, and a Type 5 Heavy, and utilize that flank from the more mobile tanks while you kind of set up that front wall, use the Type 5 Heavy to get the damage down. And then who knows, maybe they can eke out a win here, but it's really not looking likely after these first 2 rounds.
No, and it's not looking likely considering the history for B Gaming on this map either. I mean, they've only won 2 rounds on it so far this season, and we're, what, now, this is the 8th week in the season.
Yeah,
so
we're nearly done here.
Basically, that's a lot of games played to only win 2 rounds. Not a good statistic. They've actually played it 14 times, 7 on attack, 7 on defense.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
To only win 2.
And you got to wonder, who are those 2 up against? Was the Dark Horse or the Coalition Zoo?
Actually, no, the 2 that I... Wait, no, that's B Gaming. Never mind.
Okay.
I thought I was talking about Horsemen for a second, but no, I don't actually remember who it was against.
Never mind.
So, yeah, you make a good point, though. If it was against Coalition Zoo or Dark Wolves, like, it's kind of irrelevant, really.
If it's not against Horsemen, then it's not relevant to this game, right?
Yeah.
Because if they haven't beat them on Ghost Town before, when Horsemen are pretty much just spanking them right now, they're not going to beat them on again. They obviously still need a little bit more time adjusting to what tanks to pick. I did like them experimenting with some tank destroyers. We saw it work for Coalition, excuse me, Coalition Zoo against EO Gaming, and if it can work for the 8th team versus the 1st, then maybe it can work for 6th versus 3rd. Obviously not going to be the case though, because you're right, Horsemen, they played it better, funnily enough, than EL did against that setup.
Yeah, well, we'll have to find out in just a sec. Looks like we are about to get underway here on Ghost Town, and what do I think? I mean, Horsemen, yep, I think they'll take at least a 50B on probably both sides of the map. They'll take the Mausers. There is the 50B, there's a Bat Chat as well, and a 113 for them, so both these lineups are fairly straightforward. B Gaming, okay, they're just going to go for a 2-flag push. There's no way that you go to 1 flag. Oh, I lie. You could go to the 1 flag and put the 2 Bat Chat APs on it, sort of hiding behind some buildings.
I feel like that's their best bet. Because going for the flanking strategy with it, I don't know if Horsemen will fall for that. Because they have the 50B and they have the Bat Chat tier 10 one, so there's no way that unless the 2 APs are accompanied by a 50B, that they win that flank fight.
Yeah, well,
They're headed over the 1 flag now, Jordan.
they are indeed.
And look, let's hope that B Gaming can put the ghosts of their Ghost Town past to rest and win more than 1 round on each side here, because they really need to. If they start staring down a 4-0, then they're going to be up against the pump. You can already see Archon and Spencer are just going to be running straight into that 1 flag. They know exactly what to expect and not going to be having a bar of it. They're ensuring that B Gaming can cheek out a little win here.
Yeah, I'd like to see Spencer getting up on the boost here just to cause some pressure. Not necessarily cause pressure, but to release pressure, I suppose, if that 1 flag is pushed here by B Gaming, which it looks like they will be headed in that direction, though I would have thought that if they were going to go on it, they would have gone on it by now. So perhaps they've second-guessed themselves and decided they want to rotate off.
It was funny the way that the 50B was coming through and all the Maus were just backing off looking at it. Looked like a bit of a matriarch or something, coming back to its pack of hungry lions. So far, 5 tanks here for Horsemen, all just huddled together for warmth in the winter. Gotta stay warm, Jordan.
The problem here actually for B Gaming is now that they've taken so long to actually get into any sort of position, look at how far forward Horsemen have pushed.
Yeah, that just seems to be the case, right? When you're playing the Maus, when you're up against the Maus, if you're just wasting time like B Gaming are, you're just never going to get into the correct positions, and
yeah,
you're never going to win the trade.
Well, they've allowed Horsemen to get into very, very far forward positions. They can spot out these tanks early. They've got really good firing lines, and there's just going to be such an uphill battle for B Gaming to even get onto the 2 flag. Like, there's not going to be any pressure for Horsemen in this one at all.
Yeah, this is not looking good for B Gaming. 14% win rate on attack. That's just, and defense. So yeah, it's
14% on
7
both.
times, 6 losses, 1 win.
Correct.
Feast. Yeah, it's not good. It's not looking good. And of course, Horsemen boasting very promising statistics here for them. And already off to a great start here, getting damage across all 4 of the Mausers respectively here, with only receiving a shot in 2 of the 3. Use a Shampower, not going to get hurt by that one.
Bouncing shells for days.
Tiltil though, on the rotate. Just going to be able to help bolster the forces. But yeah, where do B Gaming go from here? There's not a lot of options left available, and I think that's their own fault for waiting too long, for just, squandering their resource. Time is now a very important resource. Can't stress that enough for the attackers. If you're just going to be wasting it, you're just essentially giving the game away to your opponents. Yep,
exactly. Now, B Gaming, they're not trading so well either. I mean, the trades overall are favouring Horsemen. The health advantage just a little bit above, well, a little bit favourable for Horsemen. Not huge. It's obviously still something that B Gaming can come back from, but from what we've seen from them tonight, it is unlikely, because they don't seem to be able to trade too well against Horsemen. They don't have the map positioning that they would want. They're going to take so long to get anywhere, and these Bat Chat APs at the moment are completely irrelevant. Like, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, they're all the Maus are down about 800 to 1,000 health each, as opposed to the Horsemen Maus, which are fine. They got plenty of health to work with. They're not struggling at all. Oh no, you're dead.
Archon's having the time of his life here in the 50B. He's got 1 more shell in the clip, being pressured by Yusha Power, but does have the backup of Sphinx. Although Sphinx now on the reload as well, so Yusha Power can.
He's only got 1 shot.
Oh, he can't take down Archon. I thought he had more than 1 shot left, but That's unfortunate for B Gaming. Could have been an opening. Still, they would have probably needed a bit more.
Oh, Colin's going to jump
There we
through and
go.
try and get one. He does in the end, but of course he's going to be sacrificing his life for Till in the Bat AP. 2 shots left. They're going to try and hunt down Sphinx or maybe even Spencer. But Spencer would have probably advantage here if he finds on that. Happiness does go down in the mouse. Next one to fall is T4. Spencer in the IE251 picks that up. I'm sure he's happy about that one. Samo now in the firing line. He's not long for this world. He's about to go down. One more shot should do it. Spencer, the giant killer right now.
Colin, very, very low on HP, and now not so much since he's dead. Uses Sham Power and Matil, the only 2 surviving here for B Gaming. Again, it's going to be a comprehensive victory for Horsemen, and
Quick
like,
one as well in
just
consideration.
Yeah, relative. Yeah, like
Relative.
how often do we see a 5-minute game nowadays?
Not so
too
often. But again, that's just B Gaming. They tried to go for a little bit of a flank with those Bat APs. Not going to happen. But the Tier 10 Bat, well with the 50B, just waiting there. Knew that it was coming. Clipped him out before they could even do anything. Sure, the 50B of Horsemen died in the end, but the damage was dealt at that stage.
Yep, pretty much. I don't think that B Gaming have even looked like they've been in with a chance. Like, the problem there for B Gaming, well, obviously compounding from what the problem was on Himmelsdorf, which was just bad trades, not getting the penning shots, and allowing your opponents to pen the shots, which I guess is kind of all the same thing, really. But on top of that, they also just gave up so much map positioning.
Yeah.
Like, Horsemen recognized that they were not in position to even get near the 2 flags, so Horsemen was like, well, we're going to push forward here. That's going to basically mean they can't get on the 2 flags, so they have to win a brawl, which we know we've already won twice on Himmelsdorf,
True.
so GG.
Yeah, not looking good for our boys on the side of Horsemen, B Gaming rather, tonight. And this is the question where this is the time where we start asking, okay, this series obviously going to Horsemen, but they have to start looking forward. They're coming into playoffs. Bottom seeded team, real big uphill struggles. How do they best prepare for this?
Well, and remember, they're going to have to be potentially versing Horsemen. So at the moment, it doesn't look like they're even in with a chance of beating Horsemen in a best of 5. Or best of 9, sorry. Are they going to beat them in a best of 13?
No.
No way.
No
Not a
way.
chance. Not a chance. None of these maps even look good for B Gaming across the entire map pool. Not to mention the ones that we're actually seeing coming out tonight. Like I said, I mean, Himmelsdorf and Ghost Town, both really good maps for Horsemen and not very good maps for B Gaming. So, really weird for them to be picking these kinds of maps. But anyway, we'll see whether or not they can come back here. Not sure I'm too crash hot on that idea, but
Still, Horsemen, though, it's looking good for them. They, if they are able to take out this series, they get themselves those juicy 3 points, allowing them to hold on to that 3rd spot for a little bit longer, because we both know that Karen Tiger, or Meltdown more so than Karen Tiger, are gunning hard for it.
OBOV, 4,900 damage dealt. Good result for him. Surprising to see Archon actually not up in the top 7 there. He was the one in the 50B. You'd probably expect to see him up there, but when your Mouses, your 113s are getting the job done, I mean, you can't really complain all that much.
Yeah, not a lot to really say that we haven't said before. The Mouse, the saying goes, Jack of all trade, master of none. I feel like the Mouse is Jack of all trade, master of all at the moment. Probably deflecting the most, absorbing the most amount of damage, dealing the most amount of damage, most amount of HP in the game. They're really just like, you have to master this tank. And so far we've seen Horsemen have put in the hard yards to get better at a B Gaming slacking. Well, not really slacking, but maybe not just having enough time, enough patience, maybe to learn that tank. Maybe they don't enjoy playing it, so it's hard to get into the game in your off time and your spare time and really put in that extra bit of effort.
Well, that's true, but I know for a fact that Team Efficiency don't enjoy playing the Mouse all that much, or a lot of the members.
Team Efficiency,
but they seem to
they
be
have
quite
they have a
comfortable
real
with it.
shot at winning the whole thing, though. So
Yeah.
I think like they're probably a bit more motivated than B Gaming.
Maybe.
To learn.
Hey, I mean, if you're in the Gold League, you have to be doing the work, basically. Like, you're at the top tier, so you have to keep up with everyone else, or you're going to be left in the dust, which is, at the moment, what B Gaming is being left in the dust, I suppose.
Yeah, Mullen not getting a single shot off the entire game.
Yeah.
Essentially just fodder.
He was the one that drove around the corner and just got wrecked by Sphinx and Archon. So, wasn't too good of a round for him. Traditionally, we see him in the tier 8 tanks, so moving into a tier 9, you know, we can't expect him to have the greatest of performances, but you would be wanting more than 0 damage, that's for sure.
I think no matter what you're rolling around, you want more than 0 damage. Obviously, yeah, if you're in the 13-9 sit on the hill, 0 damage is acceptable. When you turn around a corner, die immediately, questions are going to be raised. Talking to's are going to be had. But now B Gaming coming to the second half of Ghost Town on the defense. Maybe they'll have a little bit of an easier time settling in here. We have seen on Himmel's defense, they did get a few tank destroyers there, big one as well. Try and do some damage. Could potentially see that again, as we do know that Ghost Town and Himmel's play quite similar at the moment though, but I still expect B Gaming to just really get as much practice in with the mouse against Horsemen as they possibly can.
Exactly, and they probably need as much as they can get. I mean, Horsemen is looking like one of the stronger teams in the competition.
That's true.
So it's always going to be helpful here for B Gaming to be having these games heading into playoffs. I mean, if they converse like Team Efficiency and Meltdown or Team Efficiency and EL Gaming, something like that next week, that's just going to be good practice running into the playoffs, because essentially, even if they lose every single match from here, they're still qualified for the playoffs. So I would say verse the teams that are basically going to punish you for your mistakes, and then try and work on your mistakes from there, because you learn more from the games you lose.
Yeah, 100%. And even if it is just something as simple as not knowing when to angle, not knowing when to shoot, all comes to practice.
Yep.
Just watch your peers, watch how they do it, watch how they find these little windows to get that extra bit of damage out. And like you mentioned, they probably have some very strong games coming up for them in the future, in the next week and the coming weeks in the playoffs. Good opportunity to just practice.
Yep, exactly. I don't know who they're actually versing next week, but I mean, hopefully it's going to be some good competition for them. Regardless, though, I don't think they're going to be able to pick up the win here against Horsemen. It's too far gone already, 3-0. I don't see B Gaming coming back on Steps and Muravanka, both of which are not excellent maps for them. So, for my mind, this one is going to be closed out pretty comfortably by Horsemen. Looking at the tank lineups, nothing too crazy to report here. T30 is a bit of a change for B Gaming, but we have seen it a little bit.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday or last week?
Yesterday, I think it was. It can work. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal here. The other real one that maybe you don't see all that often is the T57 Heavy, but it's still making its way in every now and then. And I don't mind it. I like the T57 Heavy. It can put out a lot of damage. So if they get it in a good position, I think that Horseman here is in with a good chance of picking up another win.
Well, let's have an interesting time with this one. Let's ignore what Horsemen do with the Mausers, and let's see how they use their bat APs well. Because last few times we've seen teams fail, essentially, to utilize that tank well. So I want to kind of focus on what Horsemen will be doing with these two on Ghost Town to make them relevant. So far, you can see Nico Best Waifu set all the way up around that B0 line to kind of watch the flank for his team on the right, and I'm sure Sphinx on the left will be doing just the exact same thing. So kind of just being like bit of like a sentry for the squad here.
Potentially. I mean, I think B Gaming should know pretty much exactly where Horseman is going to be going with this kind of a roster. It is the 2 flag. Like, they don't want to be rotating up and down between the 1 flag and the 2 flags, so there's not really any other options. So B Gaming will know what's coming. They've actually got T4 in a fairly forward position in the T30, which is, I mean, it's not a bad decision. A little bit surprising though. Instead of having a mouse there, that you've got a T30, which is not going to bounce as many shells. I guess the argument could be made that it will deal a bit more damage with each shot.
Sure.
But yeah, it's much of a muchness, really. Like, I think I'm just reading into it maybe a little bit too much, but you would think that you would want to have your T30, which is your tier 9 tank, a tank destroyer, probably back behind the Mausers, as opposed to in front of them.
Well, that's how we saw Horsemen play the defense. They had the Batchat as well as the 50B just hanging on back, doing work.
Oh, he's shooting HE.
Looking for those reliable damage shots there.
Yeah, but reliable damage when you're doing 228 damage is...
It's not reliable.
Not that great.
Unlock, especially when you're people you shoot it in have like 3k HP. It's a dent in the armor. As much as you can see from this one. Horseman though, copping the worst end of these trades, but still is early game. They're moving up with the double mouse here as well as a 113. MX 1390. Sorry, the MX 50B rather has gone back into the shadows from whence it came. Bad AP moving on up. Horseman just trying to, they're vying for a position. good positional advantage here that they need.
And they have basically got in position without really taking all that much damage, which is something that we didn't see B Gaming do. They didn't even get in position. That's a good shot from Gorilla.
Oh, that's a big shot.
Yeah, actually, it's 2 shots from someone else, but 1 shot from someone else, sorry. But it's a nice shot anyway to get into the cupola like that. Not always going to be super easy to hit, but if Tiltil Matil's sitting still, I mean, Gorilla's going to say thank you very much. I would love to see Gorilla just drive off there
and back for Tiltil. Oh, just go for the
and drive on top of T4.
Wouldn't that be cute?
That would have been so funny, but unfortunately he doesn't do it.
Unfortunately, he wants to win.
When the opportunity presented itself, he didn't go for it. And yes, I think, you know, it would have been a little bit silly, but it still would have been kind of fun to see.
Well, Horsemen, for them, a little bit of fun. We'll be winning this one. Happiness coming in just for the drive-by, but Sphinx and Nico, best waifu, hot on his heels. Archon takes down Happiness as he falls as, once again, Horsemen just with a complete stranglehold on the map right now. B Gaming just really struggling to find their footing in this series. And I think after this, B Gaming, not a lot they can do to come back into the series. They're probably going to be demotivated, demoralized, probably fed up,
Yep.
a little bit frustrated. Just how the cookie crumbles.
That is how the cookie crumbles. Colin, 1 shot away from death here. Samo, probably 2.
You lose your Phantom Tank.
Yeah. It's been happening a lot since the latest patch. It's just something.
Even the obs doesn't like looking at the mouse.
It is what it is. I mean, like, there's nothing you can do about it, really. You'll notice it as well if you spectate any games in-game. But, whatever. I mean...
Samo, last tank left alive for
yep.
B Gaming. He's going to go down. Horseman going to take the series up to 4-0. Really great stuff coming from him. Just it's not fancy. It's just that they're better than B Gaming. There's no other way to play it. They're playing the same tanks, doing the same strategies, and they're winning the game. They just know how to get their shots. They know how to reflect the shots. They know how to absorb the shots. Whatever you want to call it. They know how to avoid taking damage while dealing it, and they're just a better team.
Exactly. I don't know if there's really anything much more to add to it. It's again the same situation that we saw on Himmelsdorf and on the first half of Ghost Town. Horseman's just trading better. Like, there's nothing to it, right?
They don't need to do any fancy outplays. They don't need to do any, like, crazy flanks or crazy picks. They're just picking the standard tanks, they're just driving at them, and they're just killing them.
You don't need to rotate around behind your enemy. You don't need to catch them off. There's no traps. There's nothing. There's just mouse, drives forward, meets mouse, bang, 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 bang. Whoever bang bangs harder wins, essentially. Like, that's what it's boiling down to these days.
They're getting a lot of bangs and a lot of
kabooms, and what was the one? What, doof? Alex was doing the doof.
He got the 7 doofs off.
Yeah, well, look, that's really what it is. Like, there's nothing else. Yeah, so maybe, yeah. I said actually yesterday that Steps was kind of like the last bastion of hope where we won't see any more mouses, we won't see that many mouses on Steps, but then today happened,
meltdown
and
happened.
so everything's gone. Everything's gone. We've had mouses everywhere. It's just an infestation. We need to find
the exterminator.
Exactly.
We've got a mouse problem. It's overrun.
It is overrun. What else are you going to pick these days? Just a mouse. So I don't know. We'll see what happens on Steps here, but before we get there, having a look at the post-battle stats. Big damage numbers, but again, mouse meta.
Yep. I want to have Alex compile a list of all the viable tanks that can go head to head with a mouse and come to us and read off to some of these teams. So hopefully they have a little bit of better understanding about what to do.
It's all situational, really.
Of course. But
like,
again, like when the situation is they're driving straight at you, like Horsemen, again, they're really not trying to like hide their hand. They're just going, oh yeah, this is what we got. This is what we're gonna do. B Gaming gonna fight us? And I don't know about that one, Horseman. You're looking pretty scary in all those mouses.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't think anything can go head-to-head with a mouse. Like, if you put a mouse and X tank in front of each other and they just shoot at each other until one is dead, the mouse is always going to win.
Yeah.
I can't think of a tank that I would say should beat a mouse like that.
Just a mouse, I guess.
Yeah, whichever mouse shoots better. But look at that, like, barely any damage done from those bottom 3 on B Gaming.
No.
When you have...
The 113, I really feel like the 113 just isn't a good tank anymore. It's just not good at the moment. It just can't stand toe to toe. Like you said, if it turns the corner and a mouse is there,
what are you going to do?
You're going to run away, but then you waste.
I guess you could try face hugging it and hope that the mouse bounces off your turret, but in reality,
Someone
like,
else is going to shoot.
someone else is going to come around before you.
Because Mousers aren't alone. They hunt in packs, Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. And like, even if you are a 113 face hugging a mouse, you're not going to pen the mouse.
No.
Because you just can't. It's just not going to happen. As long as the mouse driver's playing well, instead of just derping, like if you're a potato in a mouse, then sure, okay. But if it's a good mouse player and a good 113 player, mouse player wins.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's think about steps here. What are we going to see? I would say, I don't think we'll see full sort of a mouse setup like what we saw between Meltdown and Efficiency. We will still see some bat chats coming out here. Horsemen really like their bat chats. B Gaming, maybe not so heavy on the bat chats. They probably will take a little bit more of a heavy lineup. So I'd suspect maybe 2 Mousers from each team, maybe 3 Mousers, or 2 Mousers and you know 113 or something as well.
This is the map we could potentially see some of the arty plays when teams are playing the super heavy mouse lineups that are just dug in, not moving.
Yes, potentially from Horsemen, because they play the mouse, or Spencer plays the mouse. Sorry,
The arty.
I've just got the mouse in like my brain right now. It's just like mouse.
Money on my mouse and my mouse on money.
Spencer plays the artillery quite often. That's what I was trying to say. And so, yes, it's somewhat likely that we will see a artillery coming out from him. For B Gaming, they don't really have a strong artillery player, though. So
they are lacking in that department.
They will have to sort of default back to something else, I'd suspect.
Sure. Maybe a mouse.
Yeah, probably a mouse. Probably some bat chats. Like, what else do you want to pick? I guess an RU-251 on the defense for the boost. Even B Gaming, they. I
did like the S tank coming out of Meltdown on the rail line.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. I feel like that's a good tank that if placed correctly can just dish out enough damage to the immobile mouse.
It can. It definitely isn't a bad pick, though.
I know, again, it's super situational.
It's not a tank that B Gaming plays that often.
I know.
We see them using it occasionally.
Again, they don't play the Yug Panzer that often. They pick that one
exactly. That's true. I wouldn't mind seeing an STRV boosted up for them on the defense. I think it can work very, very well. But that's sort of, again, banking on the fact that you are going to be fighting around the 2 flag. If there's fights over the railway line, something like that, STRV is not going to be quite as effective. So, I don't know. Be interesting to see. I'd be saying more confidently that I think Horseman's just going to go maybe a mouse or 2 mouses, a 113, bat chats, potentially an arty. That to me feels as though, or both sides even. Okay. Like they can do it on both. So that to me feels like it's almost locked in stone. Or like they always tend to play fairly similar. But for B Gaming, like they change things up. You know, they have so many players on their roster.
That's true.
On any given night, we might see that many different players playing on B Gaming. So you can't say, oh, they are going to pick this tank because maybe X person has gone off to do something else and someone else has sort of just jumped in like, hey boys, I'm here. So it's like
I've always found funny that Coalition Zoo as well. They have like some nights they have 10 people on, some nights they can't even field the roster.
Yeah, it just is what it is. So B Gaming, like they're one of those teams that swaps their players around a lot. Yeah, and depending on personal preferences, we could be seeing different tanks coming out on certain different days on, you know, different maps that they might have chose something else on the other night. So let's have a look here. Horsemen. What? That's not... Someone tell me that's a lie.
I can't tell if that was a happy what or a surprise what, George.
That was a surprise what. That was a what. No. Surely these are the wrong way around. Are these right? I just got told these are correct.
Yes, yeah.
No way.
Break it down for us, Jordan.
I could only assume it's going to be a shield? Like, why do you pick an AT-15? What's an AT-15 going to do? It's going to die. That's what it's going to do. Yusishan Power also in an artillery?
Yeah, this is...
Excuse me?
Bit of the crazy lineup coming out of B Gaming there. Glad we got the artistic shots on the AT-15 there.
I don't know. If that hits, I'm going to leave. Okay, it didn't hit. That's good.
All right, good. It's got the...
Because that never should have hit.
Yeah. Well, it's in a big radius.
Yeah. All right.
Saying it never should have hit is just like saying it should have hit.
No, it's not.
It has just as much chance of hitting as it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You're lying. You're one of those people that's like, oh, it either hits or it doesn't, therefore it's a 50% chance. That's not how it works. Anyway, OVOV, he's just plonking himself down on the 2 flag.
So I haven't seen AT-15 before. What does it do?
It's a tank destroyer. Obviously, I think that much is clear. It has fairly decent armor frontally. And it's kind of got like a bit of a pew-pew gun. You see, it's kind of small, right? It doesn't have much
Terrible
alpha.
for the ozone.
What?
Look at the pollution it's emitting.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. It's just like, what's going on here? But yeah, it's sort of like a pew-pew gun. Like, it just like fires out not huge
pea
amounts
shooter?
of alpha. Hey?
Little pea shooter?
Yeah, well, not really a pea shooter. It's like, it's not a terrible tank, but like, it's not going to be doing massive amounts of damage with each shot. So it's more of just, you just continually fire and you sit in a corridor and you basically block that corridor, right? But the fact that it's not in a corridor, it's on steps, is very perplexing to me.
Well, we'll have to see how B Gaming are going to be dealing with that. If they're just as perplexed as you, Jordan, or whether or not they have a sound strategy for dealing with the AT-15. Without further ado, let's jump on board with their communications. Have a quick listen in with your boys in B Gaming.
一回見る
立たれるのだったらいいけど。
かもで。
いやー、
一回切れてるだろ、
そうね
チラ見する、チラ見。見た、見えない、見られたから下がるよ。
見えたね。
動かなければバレないのでは。
これ7分15。あそこで取り
これさ
続けられるのか。
STRV だけ置いとく
TRV
バット、バット EP 実際来てます
それもありだと思う。下がったね。
逃げた
あ
歩いてんじゃないの
撃ったけど弾かれたわ。
バレた。あいつ撃った時バレた。
今ここ視線通したけど見えない。
これ下がってってるからこれ振り直しのチャンスだと。
西ちょっと行かないと。
これ逆に東取っていいんじゃないの
逆に
取りに行く。
東取っていいと思う
そっかそっか取りに行くか。ここまで出
東取っていいよ
して
今見っぱなしね、ここ。
俺降りるよ。
いいよ。じっさんも出ていいかな。
はい。
友達移動して。
こっちに入った。
いやこれ以上移動したらバレるか。ここまで来てる。
あ、K0 に入ったと思うよ。
K0 に入ったの
K0 K0。
着金。なんかこっち。
Seems like B Gaming biding their time at the moment as about 4 minutes have passed on the clock here. Obviously, they want to wait for Usushan Power in the Arty to get a few good shots down. And the AT-15, not doing too much just yet. Popping off a shot, you know, just looking around. Very low reload time on that bugger.
Yeah, pretty much. But he's not going to be doing that much damage per shell. I think it's like 225 or somewhere around there, just above 200 alpha per shot. So it's not super scary, really. It doesn't have great penetration either. It's not amazing. So, like, I'm still a bit perplexed
To why they picked it.
as to why they've gone for the AT-15. Maybe
Tweet at
it's-
them.
Well, I'll ask Archon after the game, but I mean, maybe it's just an OBOV special. Like, when we saw him come into the roster, they did start picking the E3 because he could play it, which is not something that Horseman was doing beforehand.
How valuable is it to have like a weird pocket pick like that in tanks? Because it seems like people just like to play standard.
The reason they like to play standard is because it's the best,
Oh,
right?
obviously.
So obviously that makes sense. I don't think it's hugely important to have a pocket pick unless you're very, very good at it. And like, I can't really think of anyone where I'd say, okay, X picks this tank, therefore
I guess like
they
Fox
look really
TS
good.
maybe with the TVP, but like the TVP is a
Well,
good
it's-
tank.
even then, like the TVP is fairly meta. Like a lot of other teams will pick a TVP. You could almost say like Opalisk in an artillery piece. That's a kind of a pocket pick, but artillery we see a lot as well.
I probably
so
think that's probably the most viable because they only pull him out for that.
exactly, yeah.
So
That may be the best sort of an example, but I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
I feel like what you were asking was more a
I know,
different
yeah,
kind
it
of a
definitely
tank.
was, and that it
So it
just
kind
wasn't
of
meant to be.
yeah, it kind of went into a bit more of a tangent. But no, at the end, the long or the short answer is no. I don't think it's important to have some sort of a pocket pick like an AT-15 or something like that.
Yeah, sure. Well, we'll see if it works out for Horseman this time around. Hasn't actually done too much, but with 4 minutes 20 left on the clock for B Gaming, they're going to have to do something, and they have to do it soon. And Horsemen, they're quite widespread around that one flag, and that's not where B Gaming are going to be coming through. They have been spotted out, so Horsemen, the rotation is going to be coming through just in time. Whether or not they get there to stop them.
Yeah, well, let's see what OBOV can do for us here. He's going to get a shot into Colin. But he takes a big trade in response, and like you're never going to be able to 1v1 a tier 10 tank in an AT-15. It doesn't
Bizarre-looking
like it is a bizarre-looking tank, isn't it? It's just
like surely
weird.
you don't design a tank looking like that. Like,
Well,
that's what a tank looks like. That's a tank. The 113 is like when you think a tank, you think that.
Yeah.
You don't think what he's driving some type of like bubbly crabmobile.
Bubbly crabmobile.
I don't know. It just looks weird.
It does look weird, but he has been spotted out. Therefore, the artillery knows where he is, and if the arty does fire at him, he's essentially going to die. Like he's only got a 1,000 HP. Sorry, doesn't have huge amounts of armor on the top of his tank or the sides of his tank, so he can get penned, I suppose, pretty easily by a tier 9 artillery. Archon, that's going to miss. Must have gone miles away because we didn't even really hear the shot.
It's still up in the air.
Yeah, and the Horsemen here, I don't think they're under that much pressure, but I feel like they're kind of playing a tank down with OBOV in AT-15.
Well, yeah. I wonder if they're just going to sack him to go for the reset here. It even sounds funny.
Well, I mean, I've been told from production and Alex that the AT-15 is one of OBOV's favorite tanks. Just because it's your favorite tank, though,
Alex.
I don't necessarily know if it...
Oh,
Alex's favorite. It's not OBOV's favorite tank. It's one of Alex's favorite tanks. That's a whole different story.
That makes a whole more lot of sense.
Okay, so, well, even though it's your favorite tank, Alex, or one of, I don't think it has a place in WGL here.
Oh, I don't know, though. It's getting a few bit of damage off onto Colin, who's going to get blocked off by Archon here. Sphinx gets it with a bat shot. Not going to go over to OBOV. He's just shooting consistent damage at a very consistent margin here, and it's all gone wrong for B Gaming.
I guess if you're going to ignore the AT-15, sure, it's going to be able to put some damage out.
Bubbly crab tank doing work.
It does. It doesn't have awful DPM. My main concern was that it was just going to be taken down so easily by B Gaming, and they were going to play a tank up, but they've essentially ignored it and allowed it to do what it's good at, which is just to keep firing shells off. They've been running around it, and he's been just putting out shells every 3 or 4 seconds, but you can't let that happen. Like, he's on
I guess
so
they had
little
bigger
HP.
things to worry about with the bat shats and the 113s up in their grill.
I don't know why you wouldn't just use the Sham Power to pop a shot off at the AT-15. You know, try and spot him. They knew where he was. Just try and respot him. Get the arty to kill the AT-15.
Oh.
Play the tanks out like that.
I don't think User Shampao is very good at arty. I don't think he's hit a shot this game. Or any impactful ones. Maybe he hit one that we weren't paying attention
pretty
to.
true.
But all the shots that we saw, he went for those super low percentage hits. And just trying to Hail Mary the heck out of it. But there goes B Gaming. They lose to an AT-15, so what can you say? Salt in the wound, Jordan?
A little bit.
Insult to injury?
A very little bit.
Calling them bad?
Bad gaming.
Bad gaming.
Yeah, use the Sham Power
Can you
spotted
shoot
here.
the arty up and hit yourself with it?
No.
Well, damn.
You can't fire that. You can't fire up and down in an arty. You can only get certain degrees of elevation. OBOV.
How
OBOV.
boring.
What have you done? What have you done playing an AT-15 in WGL? I don't know what to say. He'll actually be kind of high up on the damage charts there as well.
I think he will, because he was just sitting
He
there
was just
going
popping
bang.
shots off.
What is it? Doof.
Doof. Doof. It was a lot faster.
Doof.
It's a lot faster than what Alex
Doof.
was doing.
Doof.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say.
Basically an autoloader.
It's just been a
without the encompassing reload time.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously,
in that scenario where you're not getting shot at and you're allowed to just sit there and chill.
yeah, I mean it's worked out in that situation. I don't expect we're going to be seeing it
Oh, this is a super specific
too
situation,
much.
right? Yeah.
I think teams
know.
that can play around it will play around it.
They'll
Big Gaming
shoot
just
it. They'll just have 2 tanks just go instead.
You saw how easily it got penned by the 113. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, it shot for 200. It hit 400 back. Like it's. Did you see 2 more of them and it was dunzos?
It's got a lot of frontal armor as a tier 8 tank.
Yeah.
When it's top tier, it's a pain to deal with. But when it's not top tier, aka it's bottom tier right now because it's tier 8 and tier 10 game, tier 10s are going to say, I don't care, I'm just going to go through the front of you.
Yeah, I'm just going to shoot you until you die.
Yeah.
And that's what didn't happen for B Gaming, unfortunately. They didn't find a mark. They let the AT-15 just sit there and glack its head off. We'll have to see if it, or how high actually up on the battle stats it did. Very interesting game to end us off, but of course, that is the end of the series. Horsemen take B Gaming out 5-0. Really didn't expect that one coming through. Thought B Gaming would put up a little bit of a fight. Obviously, after we saw how Himmels went down, it was kind of obvious that B Gaming just were not going to show up tonight.
Yep, exactly. And they didn't eventuate in terms of following up, or showing up, sorry, at all. I thought they were going to get 2 rounds. That was my prediction. But in the end, Horsemen with a pretty clinical display there. They even picked sort of a meme tank in the last round, and they still win with it. So B Gaming was not anywhere near them in terms of this match at all. No,
they really weren't. They just, I don't know how many different ways we can say that they just didn't show up tonight. They don't have a good hold on the meta. They don't understand how
they
to
got
play
beaten
these
by
tanks.
the bubbly crab tank.
Bubbly crab tank. Don't know why that came to mind, but those were the 2 words I put together to describe
makes
that
sense.
tank. It looks like it's bubbly. And
bubbly and weird on the front.
Yeah, it feels like it's got those 2 eyes that crabs have just coming out the side of its head. But
all right,
it was just popping our shots.
He was. He actually did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I am interested to see how much he did. I doubt it's going to be a lot.
Oh, it'll be up there. There you go, 2K.
Hey, my boy, OBOV.
23 shots fired, 2K damage. He's probably
23 shots hit as well.
No, because he's got about 200 alpha, so he's probably hit about 10 of them. Usage and power actually got 1700 in the artillery, so he hasn't done too poorly. But you probably would want a little bit more considering it's a tier 9 tank. Tier 8, you can say, okay, that's pretty good, but tier 9,
Again, I really doubt that.
And also he got a bit of a big shot in the end when they were just trying to kill him as well.
I really doubt that's what they expected to go up against. They probably thought it was going to be something similar to how Meltdown just played, a very attrition style of gameplay, just wear your opponent out.
Yeah.
And pretty much just outlast them, right? It's going to turn into some type of like a siege mode, right? Where the defender's is like, we're just going to wait you out and you'll run out of time and you'll lose. We're going to whittle you down. And maybe that's what they thought by picking a tier 9 artillery. They're going, we're going to spot your tanks, we're going to spot your Mausers, we're going to blow them up.
Well, that's what they should have done, but they just then committed to a fight and like didn't fight.
They were running out of time.
Like, they just got wrecked. They didn't even really put that much damage back into Horsemen. Like, as soon as that fight started, you could say, this is over. Look at that. Samo's done 0 damage. T4's done 768, so 2 bad chats barely doing anything. The 113 of Colin, he's only gotten 3 shots off. Like,
there you go.
Tell me, how are you going to win if that's going to happen?
You're not. That's pretty much it. You're not going to win, and especially if they're picking the AT-15 and you're still losing these fights when you got so many bad shots that could just walk in, burst him out. Like you said, tier 10 doesn't care about how much frontal armor you have. It's going to go through. It's going to turn you into scrap metal. Not going to happen for B Gaming tonight. They fall down in a very commanding 5-0 Horsemen. We did kind of question whether or not they deserve to be in that 3rd place spot. Obviously, it is against B Gaming, but it does seem to be that they have an understanding on what tanks to be playing on what maps. Obviously, that's the mouse on every map, but still in the right positions and what support to roll out with. Whether or not that will go well for them against Meltdown, maybe against Karen Tiger, and of course the EL and efficiency, that's yet to be seen. We still have another week of games ahead of us before playoffs, and a lot to go with that.
Well, let's have a look at the post-match stats here, see who the winners and the losers were. And I think the winners were Horsemen.
Oh yeah.
Hokyao, the new player for this roster here for Horsemen. Well, not new anymore, he's been in for a few weeks, but he has done a very, very good job since he's come into that roster.
To the squad. He's really just been coming in and leaving his mark on the battlefields, constantly putting up high results. And I think maybe it feels like did he just come in before or after the mouse?
Before, just like he had a couple of weeks before the mouse meta came in.
Because he's been doing work on that mouse.
Yeah.
He's really been one of the best players we've seen on it, and I wasn't sure if that was they brought him in specifically for that, knowing that that tank was going to be very powerful in the future. But regardless, he's been doing work.
Archon as well, not too bad of a result from him, 2.4 or around that. Average is quite decent. Yes, it's the mouse meta, but still, pretty good damage coming out from him, pretty good damage coming out from a lot of those Horsemen players. Muller didn't get much done, but he's the tier 8 player, so you can give him a pass mark. T4, Samo, Tiltil, Happiness.
Yeah, all having rough nights tonight.
Happiness, 1500, but again, he's basically been playing tier 10 all night. Not good enough. Nico best waifu there for Horseman. That's not too much damage dealt either, but I mean, whatever.
He got the W at the end of the day.
They got the win.
That
so
sopping wet W. Great stuff coming out of Horsemen. Really looking forward to see how they go in future games. Obviously, wasn't too much of a test for them. But B Gaming, if this is any indication of how they're playing going in towards playoffs, they are going to have a very short run of that one, Jordan.
Exactly, I agree. I mean, I feel as though any of the teams that they could go up against, be it Karen Tiger, Meltdown, or Horsemen, they will lose all of those matches.
Yeah, I really think so. B Gaming just having a really rough time there. Horsemen take that one out 5-0. Of course, coming up next, we have EL Gaming taking on Karen Tiger. That's going to be another great game. If you don't want to miss it, come back in 10 minutes and we'll give it to you.